Welcome to Frogshark, where we talk about kiwis doing cool things with games. There's a new thing. We have an audio stream, like an audio-only stream on iTunes. So if you look up Frogscast on iTunes, you can subscribe. Otherwise, visit our YouTube page and watch the video version. So today we have Matthew, Alice, and Kate. So if you could introduce yourselves, and then we'll talk about what you guys are doing.
Oh.
You want to start?
I think you should start, Matthew.
Okay, so I've been on this show before. I'm Matthew, I'm a game developer. I do a lot of stuff around games community as well. I guess
What's your main thing?
What's my main thing?
Yeah.
I don't know, I make video games.
Yeah. So, just last month, you were organizing an event called Popup Arcade. So we went and we had our game exhibited there as well. And maybe tell us how that was put together. How did you guys get involved with Popup Arcade? Because it's all three of you, right?
You made Pop-Up Arcade.
Yeah.
We can get involved with it, be like, created it out of nothing. Yeah, and Matthew and Alex did more, and I jumped on and did some painting.
Yeah, so I guess, like, what is Popup Arcade and how do you guys came up with the idea?
So originally it was an idea that me and Matthew came up with when it was for Gather, right?
That's right.
It was for Gather, and the way I remember it is that Matthew wanted to host a session. I don't know if you know about Gather, that you host sessions, but he wanted to do something that was a bit different, not just talking, wanted to do something a bit interactive. And we were talking about it, and we came up with this idea that we would just showcase a whole lot of locally made games. And that very first one, I remember we wrangled all the laptops from everyone we knew who was going together. We sent out emails and see if people would leave it there for the session. And we just loaded up. They were all local games that time.
Yeah.
And a couple of your games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it went well, and we just kind of kept doing it. How long ago was that? Like a couple of years? It must have been 2 years ago, because when I just went to Auckland.
Yeah, I think we started in 2013.
Yeah. It was like, that first weekend I was here. So I think the idea has always been, like the core idea has always been showcasing locally made video games. And like informing people that there is an independent game making scene in Auckland. Because for people like Matthew, I'm sure yourself, that probably seems quite obvious.
Yeah.
When
you're inside the community, you know,
but a lot of people have no idea that exists. We often people come to our events and just be like, I had no idea there were people in Auckland making games like this. So it's just a little bit of awareness, and and hopefully fun events.
So after that first event at Gather, which is an unconference, we decided to run a standalone event. I think this is where you got involved.
This is where I came in, helped make the laptops look cool.
Yeah, so we booked a venue on K Road, and I think we're really interested in getting away from the tech community and getting into a different community. And so we sort of settled on K Road as being Auckland's sort of, I don't know what you'd call K Road. It's sort of like the weird space, the artistic space, the queer space.
Yeah.
Just a lot of...
It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, and a bit edgy. So we thought that would be a really cool place to show video games to people who might not think of themselves as gamers, but people who are really open to new experiences and strange things and strange video games. And as part of that, we didn't want it to look computery. We didn't want people to feel like they'd walk into Dick Smith Electronics. yeah, so we sort of had this vague idea to paint the laptops, and I think that's where Kate started doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember what did we do on that first set of laptops?
I remember we did them slowly. We rated them slowly. But it had some of the classics, like that's where Bejeweled and Googly were. Golden Oldie.
So
The names of the laptops.
Oh, right.
The names of the laptops
Nice.
as well as the games that
So-
feature on them.
Googly's covered in Googly Eyes.
Yeah.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Bejeweled is
has-
Bejeweled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and back then we charged entry. We
Okay.
charged like $5 to come in, which I guess was okay. But at that event, someone told Barbara from the Cairo Business Association about us.
I think Barbish does. I was looking back the other day and Barbish did that.
Right, cool. So Bhavesh runs a group called Scribble. It's a creative community. Anyway, I knew him through his group, so he came to our event and he told Barbara, and that got us talking to Barbara from Cairo Business Association, and since then they've pretty much sponsored all of our events, so we've never had to charge money again. Which
Thanks,
is nice.
Kara.
Yeah,
Which is-
we love Barbara and the Cairo Association so much.
But it's also really nice because, again, we want to bring in people who don't really think of themselves as gamers.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to do that when you're open and you're on the street and people can wander in.
Mm.
It's much harder to do that when you're saying, it's $5 to look at some video games. But don't worry, you'll have fun.
Yeah. That's the big deal now with free to play games, right?
Yes.
Can't get the experience with free to play. But yeah. So what was the response like at the start? Like you're obviously still going, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. We had a few people through, like not a
I
ton.
think it was about
Few.
60
Yeah.
At the very first
at
one.
the very first one.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard to get those people through.
Yeah, that was really hard. Something I really like about working in Cairo Business Association is like they do the marketing for it.
Yeah, so
they
these
do
days-
things at their events.
These days we don't run our own events, we run as part of a bigger event like First Thursdays, which has stuff going on all over K Road, or Art Week, which is, I think that's all over Auckland. But it means someone else does the marketing for us. First time we were going around putting out posters and handing out flyers, and I don't really want to do that
Indeed.
anymore.
Is the ruling kind of what?
Yeah, being part of First Thursdays is awesome.
Mm.
We get heaps of people coming through, and yeah, lots of people that wouldn't necessarily come to a video game event, that just float around and come in. So many people, because we're often like pulling people off the street, and I can't tell you how many times someone has said to me, "Oh, I'm not really a gamer." Like I'll be like, "Come play some games." Like I'm not really a gamer, but it's okay. I'm not a gamer either. Just come in. Just come in and play something.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it's not necessarily because games. People just generally are quite timid about interacting with exhibits of any kind.
Adults,
Like even
definitely.
even us exhibiting our very gamey game at event like Digital Nations and whatnot. It's there to be interacted with, and still kind of you have to give the people the bump
Yeah.
to
Tell them
pick
it's
up the
okay.
control. Yeah. So you just
Literally
generally
have
just
to.
give them the control. They have no other choice. But yeah, the last event was themed around space. That was pretty interesting. How did that go? And did you guys have
So that-
themes before?
That theme came through from First Thursdays.
Mm.
The space theme was for the whole street. That one was actually a really easy one for me because I sort of do the tracking down the New Zealand made games, and we've had some things where I just couldn't match the theme, and so we ignored it.
Like Orleans, New Orleans.
Yeah, we didn't really have any New Orleans themed games made in New Zealand to draw on. But because space is quite a popular thing for games anyway, it was quite fun to go through all the Global Game Jam entries and just look for New Zealand-made games. We already had quite a few space-themed ones that we'd shown before, but just go looking for some new ones as well. So that's where we brought in Frogshark's game Whale Bus.
It's funny because it's like the first time ever since Global Game Jam that I saw it again. And I'm like, oh, that's right, we have the space background because it was just like the default whatever Skybox we downloaded. Yeah.
Is that from the 2014 Global Game Jam?
Yes.
Cool.
2015. It was in
2015. Oh, it's in January.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's actually one of my favourite things about the events we run is that the game developers often do come and watch people playing their games.
Yeah.
Like, again, a few times because you bring people to the games and you're like, this is how you play. A few people have been like, oh, this game is really good, come play it, this is how you play. And they'll be like, yeah, I made it. Okay. But it's cool, like, they get to see how people interact with the game, which I imagine you wouldn't see a lot normally. Like, you would show people a game you'd made, but there wouldn't be many chances to see it just in an event like that where so many people come through and try it.
Yeah, I mean, Alexi has seen a lot of people play his game because his team takes it around the world showing it to people.
Cool.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. Yeah.
It is definitely an interesting situation where you're the developer and someone is like handing you the controller, like, man, have you tried this? You should try this. And like, yeah, we made it.
It's cool.
Yeah, what were the previous year's themes? Games and...
One that we really got into was the theme for the street was 60s, I think.
Oh, yeah.
The spy theme.
Yeah.
For that.
And so this was mostly your idea, I think. But we went with a sort of 60s spy TV shows. So lots of like secret bases and I don't know, we had magnifying glasses, we had files about the game developers whose games we were showing. So just lying around the room with these manila folders you opened up, they had top secret stamped on them. And inside was a little bit of background about the game developer. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah. I think that's all I can remember is the 60s.
Yeah, those are the two themes that we really got into.
What was the one the first Thursdays we did in Biz Dojo?
I don't remember, but I remember we didn't.
No, it was our first the one, so we just like...
Yeah, we didn't have time.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're trying to match up games to the theme somewhat?
Yeah, when possible. And like our props as well, so last month's first Thursdays was space themed, so we had...
Cardboard spaceship.
I was
with a
so
computer inside. That's
Kate's
pretty cool.
beautiful spaceship.
I'm so proud of that. We made a proper wooden one that hopefully we can set up at one of the libraries for a month here and there. And I like, our space theme props. Wow, what do you call our silver stakes, our silver wall?
I think I had someone call it the alien room.
Yeah, it was quite alien.
So we bought a whole lot of safety blankets, just shiny silver material, and put those up on the walls.
Yeah.
And it was really effective, it was like really cheap. Thanks Alibaba, but it was great.
Oh yeah.
I think we're getting more into the props and the theming.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Like, I think we get... I mean, every event, kind of, you have plans, and then when it comes to the actual event, you just have to throw things together and downscale, I think. But I feel like we're getting like better, we're getting more elaborate, which is quite exciting. For me, Popup Arcade's always felt like something that we just started doing, and it's just like, if someone has been like, hey, you could do it here, and we're like, okay, and we're like, okay, it's really sort of just happened.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it, at least. It's not like we had some grand plan.
Yeah, we haven't had to push it ourselves, apart from that first time. Ever since then, other people have come to us and said, hey, we'd like you to do an event.
And we have done more than First Thursdays with K-Road. Like, we've done a few library events where we like leave half a dozen of the laptops up in different community libraries for a month at a time. And we had a couple of things at the basement, which is a cool space that I really love.
The
Basement's
the
very
basement
cool.
theatre.
Oh, basement theatre.
Oh yeah.
What was the
That's
event
right.
that we set up for?
We did one for the Monster Valley
Monster
Experiment.
And one for like the youth collective or something. I think they're based in Auckland and in Wellington, and they're like a theatre group for young people.
Was it Young and
Like,
Hungry?
Young and Hungry.
Young and Hungry. Yeah. So probably like Auckland Libraries is our other main relationship.
Mm.
They've also done some cool stuff for us,
Really supportive.
which is another shout out. All the people that look after us.
Yeah, that's quite good because, like, well, I think our events on K-Road are, like, cooler. In a way, they happen at night and we're there, which is cool. But when we leave the games at a library for a month, like, the reason that's really awesome is because it gets a different group of people again, people who would never come to an event on K-Road, get to see the games that way.
Children.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, other library goers as well.
Yeah.
I think at the moment we haven't yet made it accessible enough. It's like you were saying, when we're not there to tell people to play the games, like random people who go to the library, when they see video games, they don't really feel comfortable going up and interacting.
And like there's a sign saying like come and play these games, but like a parent will be there with a couple of children and the children will be playing on the games and she'll be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like we're in a library.
Don't be so noisy.
Yeah.
So the librarians are on our side and they want people, at least sometimes, making noise and having fun.
Yeah.
But people have this idea about libraries that's very old-fashioned and it's hard to break through.
And that's kind of where we push the other part of Popup Arcade, which is sort of game making, education side of things.
So you got another library event coming up soon.
We have some workshops planned. This is a thing, it's just Alice and I.
I would join in.
It's just been Alice and I so far, where we go into libraries and we teach beginner game making to children. So we don't have any dates confirmed, but we've done 2 of those, and it sounds like the libraries want us to do more of those. So that's
cool. How did that go? Like what?
They were really successful. There were a lot of children going, like maximum children going for the spots.
What kind of
allocated.
turnout?
So you guys had allocated for like 8 children, 10 children? 10. And so for the younger kids, it was like 15 kids showed up anyway. And for the older kids, 8 or 10 come. Somewhere around that.
a few.
Yeah.
What kind of age groups?
Yeah, I can remember the age groups.
So we split it, we did a workshop for under 13 and for over 13. And we got a good range. I think in our older group we had people up to about 18.
I would say it's
Actually.
19.
Right. Yeah, and that's cool. We might need to adapt the workshop a bit more because we weren't expecting people that old.
Okay.
But it was good.
19.
In the younger group, I think you had like from 6 to 12. So it's quite different teaching a 6-year-old and teaching a 19-year-old.
Yeah. And were you guys the teachers or got outsiders involved or?
We were the teachers.
Cool.
Matthew does a lot of teaching school kids outside of Pop-Up through Code Club.
Yeah, and OMG Tech and Future and Tech.
Yeah.
So lots of volunteer groups where we go into schools or other communities and teach kids. That's more focused on teaching them programming. The goal is always to get them into technology careers.
Yeah.
Whereas in Pop-Up, like it's pretty much the same. What we teach is pretty much the same, but our mission isn't to get anyone into a career or anything. We're about like promoting games as a creative thing you do alongside other creative things, painting, printing t-shirts.
And like trying to promote diversity in game making, I think. Like, to me that's an important aspect of what we do. Because I do think games are, like you said, a creative outlet. Games can be art and games can be a way of expressing yourself. And getting people that, again, aren't that traditional programmer, gamer, like, area of society, to explore making games, like making simple games as a way to express themselves.
Yeah. So in the game dev meetup that we go to, there are a lot of programmers.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games we make are like led by programmers, and that there's nothing wrong with those games. You can make a really awesome game as a programmer, but when you have someone like an artist or other kinds of creators in charge of a game project, it just comes out completely different, and that's really cool.
Yeah, especially if they're not kind of game oriented.
Yes.
It's like non-game people making games is always
Yes,
seems like to
exactly.
be interesting. Just like non-filmmakers trying to make films.
It's just like anything, you know, that diversity of thought can result in really cool ideas coming through, just new ideas.
But also that's kind of the kind of games you display at Popup Arcade to begin with.
Yeah.
Like little garage games and sort of not your usual high fidelity graphics.
No GTA.
Yeah. Yeah, and our games that you guys showcase, are they available to download somewhere? So
They're all on our website,
let
Yeah.
people
aren't they?
look.
I haven't updated that lately, but in theory we keep a list of all of them, at least the ones that are free on our website. And generally they are games that you can get for free if you know where to look.
Yeah, if you know where to look, I suppose that's the thing.
So all the global game jam games obviously available for free.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Sergio has a website with all of his, and Leanne does with hers.
Yeah.
We must know other people. What does Joshua Smith do?
His website's actually down now, so I should ask him if he's okay with us hosting his games. I mean, sorry, he has a new website for his new business, but I can't find his old games anywhere anymore. Which is an interesting thing that happens to some of these sort of obscure games when their creators are busy making new stuff.
Yeah.
And we've also occasionally showed unreleased games, and you can't get those, sorry, just have to come to one of our events. So Smith Sports is a game that's not actually released yet, so I don't
That's
think
such a good game. We should show that again.
Yeah, so I think Michael, who made that game, is now travelling, and all his computer stuff is packed up.
Okay.
Some story. Anyway, it'll be released one day.
Is he in Scotland at the moment? Sorry.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting sort of factor, that abandonware, that software and games just go into the past and obscurity, and you can always dig them up, and there's always some crazy interesting things.
Nothing's ever gone on the internet.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about some, for the last events, we showed your game for the first time, and it was already pretty suitable for our purposes. We also showed a game called, I always say its name wrong, Geosynchrono. Yes, Geosynchrono, by a bunch of people from the media design school. And for that game, it was really fun. I have seen them show it previously and it was really good. But I wanted them to make a few changes so it was easier for us to run.
Right.
And so basically I sent a lot of emails to Hayden saying, hey, can you change this? And hey, our controllers have different mappings from your one, so all the buttons don't work, can you change this? So he ended up doing quite a bit of work to adapt that game just to work for us.
Spontaneous producer.
I guess so, yeah. It was almost like porting into a different platform in a way, because for a game to be on display with no one there necessarily telling you what to do and not need resetting and not need, picking the number of players, there are a lot of things that
It has to run itself.
Yeah, and again, experienced gamers are pretty comfortable clicking through a few menus to get through a game, but we really like it to be easier than that.
Yep.
So they did a lot of work for us, and at our previous event, we showed Space Ribbon by Ben Mitchell, who's actually from the UK, but he made the game in New Zealand, so it can't be said he's New Zealand. He was just visiting Auckland for a while.
For like a year.
Yeah, for quite a long time.
Counts.
But that was also really fun because we got to work with him a bit, and he hadn't, I think, shown the game to many people before that. So we did some playtesting for him, and again we asked him to make changes for what we wanted, but also hopefully helped him make a better game and get some feedback.
Yeah.
And I hope that he had fun coming and seeing people play his
He
game.
did. He so did.
Yeah, so I really like that aspect of it, and I'd like to do more. Usually because of deadlines, I'm just searching on the internet for games and grabbing them and sending a quick, hey, can we use this email?
Right.
But it's more fun when we actually work with the creators and give them feedback and try and get games that really suit our format.
And if anyone wants to make games for Popup Arcade,
Oh, we would love that. People should totally approach us. You're welcome to approach us with games.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can organize a jam. So nothing's stopping you guys from running
That's a good idea.
like a multi-day game jam
Yeah.
that results in the exhibit, so leading up to or something like that.
We just sort of talked about that with the library one time.
yeah, haven't quite got there.
Not quite. Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Like even if it's transitioning the the kids that you're teaching to
Yeah, it's
let them have something.
it's tricky because we like our events to be really inclusive in who can attend them. And one aspect of it is you need to show games that are really accessible and fun and easy to play. And it's actually quite hard to make games that are easy, fun, accessible. So in a way, so far we've been quite picky about what we show,
Yeah.
which makes it less inclusive and diverse on the creator side. So there's a bit of a balance there where we'd love to show more, like you mentioned before, outsider art games and games by people without a lot of game dev experience. But we also want the people who come to our show to be blown away by how fun these games are. So working on both sides of that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is we want to help teach a diverse range of people how to make games. I think that's really the key, exciting thing that we need to do that we're not doing yet. If we did do a game jam, I wouldn't want it just to be the usual suspects. The people who already go to Kiwi Jam and Global Game Jams. We've already got their games.
They can still make some
They can make
outrageous things that you're after, but
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. The more people making games in New Zealand, the better.
Yeah.
Or anywhere. Everyone should make.
Yeah, and the trick is, can we find ways to make it easier and more appealing for more different kinds of people to make games?
Well, it's, I guess, finding that sort of feel for the platform, for the medium, as being something as just picking up a sketchbook and drawing a doodle, but doing the same equivalent as games.
Yeah, making people feel comfortable with that. And it's taken me 2 years of being in pop-up for me to feel like, oh, maybe this winter I'll make a video game. Which actually I did say a year ago. And I looked into it and I did some programming and I was like, oh, I don't want to spend 6 months of my life making a video game. Who has that sort of life? But I sort of and plenty of people do. But after thinking about it some more and I'm thinking I can make something in 3 weeks, so make 3-week uni holidays that's small and doesn't have to be great.
You can make something in a day, Kate.
Yeah.
Something.
I want something in a day. Yeah.
Well, so for our library workshops, we've been teaching Scratch, but there's so many tools that enable all kinds of people to make different things.
I really want to have a look at Game Maker.
I really like Twine for making text.
Yes.
Text images.
One of the things I always recommend for people asking, I don't know how, and where can I find stuff, and Ludum Dare has the entire collection of the games ever submitted, because part of their kind of rules is that you submit the source code of the game. So you can go up to Ludum Dare and search by the engine that it's been made in, like lots of Unity games, lots of Game Maker games, Twine, everything, and basically download the source code and look through it and learn how they did stuff, or just copy it and try to change the graphics or put in some new mechanics or something for learning.
That'd be a really good way to learn.
So it's one of the kind of, if you know a little bit of everything, you can just download one and just jumpstart a little project.
That's especially cool because all those games were made under time pressure.
Yeah.
So everything you see there, that with enough experience you could make in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. So what else are you guys involved in regards to games, or what's the future kind of short term?
So we have a event coming up. It's still quite a long way away in September, is it? October.
Art Week Auckland. It'll be a second time in it, but it'll be quite different from our event last year. Last year our event was a bit more offline. It's a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, so
Offline, a bit more experimental. It was a choose our own adventure, inspired by Twine and Alex. And Alex will tell you more about it.
Inspired by improv.
Oh yeah,
So one of the things I do is improv. I like the concept of a group of people creating a story together.
Yeah.
That's something that you do when you're doing that. So we came up with this format where you make a Twine game, but like a choose your own adventure story collaboratively. So we end up doing it on post-it notes and we lay it out physically, and we kind of just start with like a core storyline and we just branch everything a lot, and everyone just goes off in groups and like branches things, and then you like connect it up, so you end up with a story, you end up with quite big stories that we then put in Twine.
So that was so much fun making that.
Yeah, it was like
Those events in the Pit Street, it was really fun.
quite different to anything we've done before,
Yeah.
quite experimental, but I had a good time.
it's good, and a few times after that we've brought back a lighter version of it just on the wall as part of the arcade, which was much less workshoppy but had the same idea of a collaborative choose your own adventure story done on paper, not on a computer.
We do it most of our first Thursdays, have like an activity for people to do on paper.
Yeah, last month you had a drawing, like people would draw aliens.
Yeah, what do you call those? They were like coded
Exquisite corpse.
Exquisite corpse.
Yeah, it was just exquisite corpse but with aliens.
And some people say for like ages doing that.
It
was awesome, some good pictures, eh? Some really ridiculous ones. Just what happens when you only see none of the picture.
And we've also previously done some semi-non-digital games, which I think you've seen with the first-person view headsets.
Oh, you didn't realize
I haven't, but I heard you talk about the big blocks and you had to like work it out in third person. That sounds really interesting.
So, in the latest version of the game, 2 people sit at a desk, a wide desk, and on the desk are lots of blocks of wood. But you're wearing a headset that blocks your normal view and shows you the view from a camera, and the camera's across the table facing the 2 people. So you're watching yourself from outside your body. And from that view, using the camera to see instead of your eyes, you need to like find the right blocks and arrange them into a certain order. You end up building a bridge. It's fun. But
We did it with a maze originally.
yeah. And I guess it's quite fun just feeling your brain adapt to that different point of view. The first time I played it, I would look at all these blocks and I'd see the block I want to reach for, and I would like reach for it in the opposite direction because the view's mirrored from what you would expect.
Yeah.
And then as you play the game, you get better at it, and
then you have to adjust backwards when you take the class.
Maybe if you spent like 24 hours.
Yeah.
it's just quite fun. Yeah, that sort of situation where it's a bit weird, but you feel yourself improving quite quickly. I think that's probably a lot of the fun of it.
Yeah, and it's also like it's also quite fun for other people to watch.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't actually see the block one, but when we had the maze, you know, people would like try and walk in a straight direction and just be like going. And you'd just be watching someone be like balancing because they were just walking like on a flat floor. Like the maze was just made of masking tape.
Alright.
So it's just people look really silly, but it's
Yeah.
very entertaining.
And an audience member will say like, oh, that must be so easy. Why are you struggling so hard with this? So they'll have a go next and just get like, oh my god.
Yeah. Often it would be like the kids would take part, because kids always want to take part, and the parents would be like, that has got to be easier than you're making it look. The parents would do it, it'd be terrible. Way worse than their children.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Mm. So what's the upcoming event you were talking about?
So we haven't
we've Auckland.
planned that much of it, but the key difference, like from a production side, is that previously we've done one-day installations where we set everything up, we do our evening event, and then we tear it all down that same night.
Mm.
And this time, what we really wanted to do is have a room where we could set everything up and leave it there for a few days and then tear it down, which just gives us so much more time and personal energy to invest in building this thing.
Like a day to set it up rather than 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
So we can maybe like reach those high goals that we have set for ourselves. Some of the things we want to do.
So I think the theme for Art Week hasn't been announced.
Do they have a theme? It has been announced. If it's been because they would have to.
That then.
Because wasn't it, last year was it like Out of Darkness or something?
Oh.
I remember you had a Pinterest board for it.
No, that was Out in the Dark.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's
Maybe.
something I'd really like to do with Popup Arcade is Out in the Dark.
Yeah, I went last year for the first time.
Isn't it awesome?
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always in like the rainiest time of year. But that's so good.
My favorite one was the big megaphone or like a speaker strapped to this electronic swing.
Yeah.
And as you speak into it, it would loop over itself, so you create this thing that just swings through space, like onto the other path to the people on the other side.
It's really
It was
cool.
pretty interesting.
The volunteers always do cool things with bicycles.
I think my favourite thing might have been the year before, but it was a wall of square lights with black plates in front of them hiding the lights. And when you made noise, the black plate lifted up so the wall started glowing. But effectively what it was a crowd of people screaming at a wall. And you heard it from a long way away. Like, why is everybody screaming? And then you go and see it. So it was this great experience just because of the audience
Nice.
part of it.
Yeah, I really like that sort of art of
Like
interactive
interactive.
installations. Yeah, something I want to try at some point.
So for Art Week, I think we haven't talked about it a lot, but I'm getting the feeling that if it's appropriate for the theme, we want to revisit the space theme that we just did, but sort of bigger and better, with more time to set it up,
More games?
and potentially more
I haven't
games.
thought about games for sure.
Maybe some like more games with custom controllers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely custom
or I would love to do a networked game, like multiple stations that are the same game. That's something we've never done before, and it has some annoying technical aspects to it.
You gotta have a game that actually works with multiplayer.
Yeah.
To begin with.
But I really like the idea of linking together different parts of the room.
Right, yeah.
And also, like, we're very good at doing things in lo-fi ways as well, so maybe we'll invent a lo-fi game that gives that same feeling, that different parts of the room are connected. I liked at our previous events how there was almost a narrative where at the entrance it was sort of shiny and silver and space themed, and then you went through and there was the rocket ship and alien grass, and
like you come from inside to outside, and there was the control panel, like spaceship view in the middle.
so
That narrative sort of bit.
it maybe, I don't know, maybe people imagined that they were going on an interesting little journey. I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah, take some of our ideas from that space, that sci-fi First Thursdays that we couldn't quite pull off at the time.
Yeah.
hopefully get something that feels even more like an installation, like an interactive art installation, but also with video games.
And I'm really excited for our space. We're in the bread and butter leather basement, which is where we did our second event where we charged $5. So we'll be back there with artwork and it'll be free. But it's such a good space. It's like quite small and like the ceilings are a little bit low, I think. In my imagination they are, and it's quite bare. So we can like do with it as we please. I think it's just what we need.
Yeah. What kind of spaces did you get before? Like, for first Thursday, do you always get the corridor that you were in?
We have for the last 2 times. Yeah.
One time we were upstairs in
Gatland
gallery, and one time we were in the Biz Dojo's sort of event room. I don't know how you describe it. Big room, big windows.
Yeah.
It was quite nice.
On the Pitt Street Methodist Church Sunday School room, which is very big. It's quite impressive space.
We go wherever they put us.
Yeah.
If they say we can have a space, then we're in there. Which is I think it's cool with being so many different spaces.
Yeah. Because it influences how it all goes.
Yeah, although I do think we started to find being street level helps again because we rely on people wandering past and noticing us and then drawing them in. So it's easier when we're on street level. I'd say that's the main thing.
It's true.
Yeah, the less steps before.
Yeah.
Just
A
coming
few
in.
obstacles, definitely.
But apart from that, it's always good to adapt to the space and do different things.
Yeah. So the art week is a 4-day event?
It's a 3-day event for us, but it's a 8-day event for Art Week. It runs from the 10th to the 18th of October, but we'll be doing it from the 15th to the 17th of October.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
As you can probably tell, we haven't planned that much of it yet, but I really feel like it's going to be...
Just like all the things that you've done so far together in one spot.
It's going to be really intensive.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You posted about some of your own game development. Cave?
Tell us about Kate a second.
Sure. I started work on Caves, I think it was the start of last year. The start of 2014.
Was that when you decided to make the transition from your writing your own engines to Unity, or is it still your own?
I'm still using my own engine for it. I did try Unity for a few days, and it was good, but it also made me realize how much work I'd already put into the version I had.
Right.
So, I still think using Unity might be the right business choice, but when I looked at having to redo over a month of work, I saw I was not going to enjoy it, and that's important too.
Yeah.
So Caves is a video game. You're a spaceship in a cave. That's a thing.
When are you going to release it?
Instead of release date for yourself, that'd be good.
Commit to the world.
No plan to ever release it, but what I did commit to is, because way back in 2014 I worked on it for 2 months non-stop, and I showed it at the meetups, at the Game Dev meetup, and I got lots of great feedback, but then I kind of burnt out. I looked at how much I'd done, how much time I'd spent, and I was just like, this is not going to work. I don't want to work on this anymore. So I've come back to it, and my commitment this time is to work on it for 100 days.
Okay.
And then I'm going to...
Very exact.
Yeah. And then at the end of 100 days, I'll take another look at it and see how it is. Because I find when I'm working on it day to day, I might have a bad day. I'm like, oh my god, this game is terrible. I never want to work on it again. Or you have a good day and you're like, this game is awesome. So you need to smooth that out a bit. And I think committing to 100 days, like at the end I'll be able to look back at what I've done and sort of decide, is this actually achievable?
It's a constant process though. There's like, this graph or something, graph for human behavior, like your ability to appreciate art and or whatever it is that you like, the sphere of what you're doing, grows separately to your ability to actually create within that sphere.
Yes.
So as you're at the sort of rising wedge of creation, you're like, yes, this is awesome. But then as your ability to sort of critique and appreciate the kind of work that you're doing sort of has a delay. So you only later realize that the work that you just did isn't really that good. And it's just a constant sort of rolling effect.
With that, I was a musician in my youth. And you'd often experience something where you'd be like practicing really hard and you'd feel like you're getting way worse, like you'd feel like you're getting really terrible. But I always thought of it as like your ear would get better before your skills would. So it's just that, like you said, your comprehension would raise. And so you'd be analysing yourself a lot more intensely and like scrutinising what you're doing a lot worse. And then suddenly you'd have a breakthrough where like your skills caught up with it. And I don't know if you guys had the breakthrough, but you suddenly have the breakthrough, you'd be like, I'm amazing now. I felt like I was getting worse, but it's just, we've reached like the next level.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot.
It's also interesting looking at other games. Did you see someone made a website that estimates how many sales any game on Steam has? And they do it by they look at public profiles from Steam users and sort of extrapolate, and it's all very clever. But it's both, in a way, depressing looking at some really good games that haven't made enough money. But then it's also nice to look at some really successful games and think, like, in some cases they're achievable.
Yeah.
Like, there are plenty of games out there that I just couldn't make. They just do things that I would never even think of. Or never be able to do. But there's also a lot of really successful games where you can look at it and like, I can imagine myself making something like that.
Yeah. I really like your game where you're the pixel on the green rooms and you enter a room with all the other ones and you go zoom and purge the whole thing. Like, what is it called?
That's called Cerulean.
That's a good game.
Yeah, like, how come I haven't seen anything about it anymore? Like, did you just finish it and it was like an HTML5 experiment?
It is. I definitely would like to extend it one day. It's not finished. It's playable, but nothing happens after a little while. I would like to finish that one. It's actually not really a clone, but inspired by a game called Meritus, which I think is from 2010. It's a very small indie game as well. And I don't know, I would like to finish that game one day. That's, like, in a way that game's actually quite similar to the Caves game I'm working on now, in that you're exploring this great big space. And, like, the details are different. That game's about exploring rooms, and Caves is about like digging away at an environment, but apart from that, it's sort of very similar. And
is Caves procedural? Like the
that's not really decided yet.
Right.
At the moment, like the top layer is handmade and all below is procedural.
Okay.
So time will tell.
What about you guys? Have you, like, what kind of game development sort of digging into that side of things have you done?
The first game that I ever made was Alice's Gamey Game of Funny Fun, which was when Matthew was teaching me Basic.
Yeah, that would have been Visual Basic.
Visual Basic. I was very young. I was very young and getting my first programming lessons. And it was like a box, and there were things you could click on. I just remember the best bit was that you couldn't get out of it. If you tried to close, it would be like, "Are you sure? And you'd be like, "Yes." I'd be like, "Are you sure? And I made like an infinite which to me as like a child was like very like satisfying. I was just like, you do not stop playing that game. But since then I've done a bit of programming with like my degree, and I'm a bit, so when we're teaching it, like the Scratch, we can teach Scratch, and yeah, I haven't really made much. I played a bit with Twine when we were doing Choose Our Own Adventure.
What do you start with when you teach the kids, like?
Scratch.
Yeah, like you introduce the basics.
Yeah.
But if you, in terms of like the projects that they make,
Yeah.
what kind of stuff do you get them to make?
So we have the sort of your minimum game, which is something that chases you around. Yeah.
But then we found that wasn't, so that was there's a character you control and a character who chases you.
Yeah.
And just because of the way Scratch works, that's very easy to code. So for a while we always did that, but then we found it doesn't lend itself that well to extension. Where when people see it, their brain does not fill up with ideas for how to make this game better.
Yeah. So we're going to start teaching mazes.
Yeah, have we done one of those yet?
We've taught a few people how to make mazes. So just like they can draw a maze, and if you touch the edges, you die, basically. And that's kids quite like making something like that. And I think there's more room for more diversity right at the beginning, people doing different things. But it's quite cool, because we basically, when we do the workshop, we get them to make this very simple game, and then that doesn't take very long at all, and then get them to try and start thinking of their own direction to take things. And so people pretty quickly come up with ideas, like they want to know how do I make it so there are several enemies, how do I make it so there are levels, how do I make it so that there's score. And we just kind of help each kid go in the direction they want to go. Which is quite cool. I find it satisfying.
Yeah.
Any of those kids made something that you're like, that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't specifically remember any because, I see hundreds of Scratch games. But all of them are cool in their own way.
Yeah.
But there are definitely a few where you look at it and you're like, wow, that's actually not what I expected. Or usually the ones that are a bit different stand out.
Yeah, and some kids do have completely different ideas. Like the last one we went to, one kid just made one with a whole lot of stuff just bouncing around all the time, which was just really cool and very different. And then some people, it's really clear, some people think in terms of the game mechanics, and then some people go in a story direction. They'll be like, I want to add a cutscene that has a bit of dialogue, and I want to have levels. So it's quite interesting seeing how different people's brains work.
Do you teach them anything about game design in the workshops?
Not really, because it's
so short.
There isn't really time.
Yeah.
I did recently do a game design. I called it Understanding Game Design, and it was a class for laneway learning, which is another K-Road event, because we really love K-Road. Where every week they have a different teacher teach a different class on a different topic. So it ranges from juggling to drawing maps. And
to fermenting.
Fermenting
food.
And for that one, I decided instead of teaching game making, which is what we've got a lot of experience teaching, I just wanted to talk about game design, almost like if you were, I compared it to high school English, where you learn a lot about not just how to write a story, but how to read a story and look at what they're doing with themes and concepts, or even watch a film and look at the different cuts they use. So it's not so much, this is how you hold the camera, this is how you make a movie, but more sort of higher level, more advanced stuff. And it was really fun to get to talk about some of that stuff that you can't really tell someone their first hour of making games, any of that high concept stuff, because they just don't have time, they're busy figuring out which code blocks fit together.
Yeah.
That was really nice. I talked a lot about player elimination, which is a big deal in board games. How, in our family, we play a lot of Risk at Christmas. And Risk is this game that can take 2 hours to play, but it has player elimination, so anyone can get knocked out of the game at any point. And when your whole family comes together to play a board game for 2 hours, and then someone gets knocked out in 15 minutes, it's like, oh, that's actually really hard to deal with. Like, what do they go off and do? And if it was a kid, like, who looks after them?
They go and eat more Christmas pudding. But
Yeah, or start drinking.
And we play it in our family, and we have a couple of cousins that are very good at Risk.
Yeah, but so the mechanic of player elimination has this effect that means maybe games that have that mechanic aren't so appropriate at certain events. And there's no point telling this to someone who's like working on their first game from scratch, because they're so far away from making that kind of high-level design decision.
Yeah.
But it's quite fun to talk about, so that hopefully people who attend to that class, next time they go and buy a board game or play a board game, instead of saying this isn't fun, they can be like, this isn't fun because it has player elimination, and this party needs a game that doesn't have player elimination.
Yeah.
Like just the higher level understanding.
So what are you guys' plans for, like, beyond the upcoming art week? Like, is there anything you guys need the community to support you with? Like, any shout-outs or requests? Like, do you guys accept donations for hardware, or how do you attract more people to make games for your show, or anything like that?
I would love to see more people like sending games our way. Nobody ever has, but I think that would be really cool. Have some submissions.
Yeah. Would we take more old laptops, or are we good?
I think so, because they're always breaking.
We will take old laptops that still work.
Yes.
And our key message is always that making games is really easy. And I imagine like anyone who watches your podcast is probably already interested in game development and knows that.
Yeah.
But that's still our thing. We want to make people aware that lots of New Zealanders are making games, lots of different kinds of New Zealanders are making games. And like if you make other stuff creatively, then you can make a game as well.
Yeah.
As like one of your projects.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd love to hear about it.
More people making games. Alright, so where can we look up more information on Popup Arcade?
We have a website.
It's popuparcade.co.nz.
One word? Yeah,
One word.
we'll put that up. And
And a Facebook, which is facebook.com/Popup Arcade. And a Twitter, which is popup_arcade.
Yeah, we have a mailing list. We send out an email before our events.
alright, we'll wrap up now.
Choice.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.
And this will be available on iTunes, Frogscast, and YouTube on our page. Alright, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Sweet.
The main thing I remember in Morrowind was almost a cheat or a glitch, where you could make potions, and if you made a potion of intelligence and drank it, then because you were more intelligent, the next potion you made was more potent.
Right.
So if you stockpile the right ingredients, you could drink a potion of intelligence, make another one, drink that, make another one, drink that, and you continue this maybe 10 minutes of real world time. And your intelligence, which is meant to be between 1 and 100, is now like, 100,000. It's just off the chart ridiculous. And then whatever potions you make at this point are almost infinitely potent. And it was, like, I read that you could do this, and so I invested a lot of resources and time in getting the ingredients to do this, and then made myself a set of these ultimate potions. And
It was terrible. I remember being terrible.
it was,
I did the same thing, and it just like broke your character because you drank a potion, one of any of these potions you'd made, and suddenly for thousands of days your stats
Yes.
were completely
so
screwed.
I drank a potion of strength, which made my character ridiculously strong, and from then on, whenever I hit someone, they instantly died, but also my weapon instantly broke.
That's awesome.
And I think also if you looked on their body, their shield was broken as well. And yeah, it was game breaking. It was terrible. You also couldn't eat any herbs because if the herb had an effect of damage health. Because you're so intelligent, the effect's magnified, so you drop dead. So I ended up, it would last for maybe 1,000 in-game days. The fastest way to pass time in Morrowind was to go to prison. So I came up with this plan where I would get the biggest sentence you can get before the death penalty, which I think is for murdering 3 people. So you go and murder 3 people, or maybe it was 2 people, and then you get caught, you turn yourself in, you go to prison for this many days, and it's like, great, that was 33 days off my potion effect. Now I have to do it 15 more times before I'm back to normal.
Yeah. If you didn't have a save from before you did it, and you invested so much in your character, it's like your main character. I had the same thing where I ended up having to just go to jail again and again to get my life back in order. It was a disaster.
The irony.
I love that, and that's one of my favourite things about Morrowind, the sort of game-breaking stories that happen. They've all been smoothed out of the more recent Elder Scrolls games now. Nothing that weird will ever happen in those games now.